You're an athlete, this is CrossFit, it's constantly varied. Just figure it out.
CrossFit's awesome.
What is up, you sexy beasts? I am back from holiday and excited to make some videos on YouTube again. This is the About Last Week show where we kind of recap what happened in the CrossFit space over the last 7 days. And obviously for us, the big story over the last week has been the quarterfinals. And I wanted to start off by talking about the purpose of the CrossFit Games quarterfinals, because I heard Brian Friend say on the Etsebeth podcast that CrossFit has an identity crisis. They don't know what the quarterfinals is for. Is it to send the top 30 to 60 people to their respective semifinals? Or is it to include some average Joes to just have some fun and go to a next stage from the open? What is it for? What is it about? And I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. The quarterfinals, I think, has two purposes, and I think CrossFit probably views it this way as well, I would imagine. The number one purpose, as I understand it, is to find the qualifiers for the semifinals. So depending on what region you are, that can be the top 30 in the region or the top 60 in the region. The secondary reason we do a quarterfinals is to give the community an opportunity to aim for something higher than the open, to qualify for something a little bit extra. And I know for myself and for a lot of average CrossFitters at my local box, it is really exciting to see how close you can get to being the top % in your region and qualify for that next stage. Essentially, it is our CrossFit Games or our semi-final. That is what the quarterfinals is to us. And even though we know that the main purpose of the quarterfinals is to get the top people in our region to qualify for the semi-finals, it's cool to also jump in and have a play, even if the workouts are a little bit out of our reach. So I think most CrossFitters, I would imagine, understand that the tests are going to be tough, and they have to be tough because the core reason, the number one reason, is to qualify people to the semifinals. But I don't see why you can't include, a bunch of other CrossFitters that are, maybe the top in their gym. They've got no aspirations of making it to semifinals, but it's exciting for them to have a play and have something, a next step to kind of aim towards. So let me know down in the comments, do you think that the quarterfinals should only be maybe the 2 to 5% of the top people in the region? Or is it okay to include the top 10%, knowing that there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to find these workouts extremely hard? The weights are heavy, the movements, the skill level is very high. And my reasoning is, or my kind of logic is that if you are someone who's qualified for the quarterfinals, no one's forcing you to sign up. In fact, you can wait for the workouts to be released before you actually pay your $50 and sign up. So you're not being forced to sign up. It's not a blind sign up. You do actually get the opportunity to see the workouts. I believe you can sign up all the way until the first deadline when the first workouts are, due. So, there's no like blind signing up and then going, oh, I can't do any of the workouts. You can just wait and see them. And then lastly, CrossFit is a business, and there's this bizarre mindset out there that they're out to get us. They're out to just squeeze us dry for every cent that we have. CrossFit is a business, and I want CrossFit to do well as a business. I want them to be financially profitable so they can continue to grow the sport and do better for our affiliates and our athletes. For that to happen, they have to be a successful business. And so obviously, if you invite 10% of the region to sign up for the quarterfinals, there's a lot more money-making opportunity. Each person pays $50. If you only invite 2%, you're going to make a lot less money than if you invite 10%. So yes, they are a business, and sure, there is a strategic approach to who they invite and how much money they can make. I don't deny that, but they are a business. Come on. Okay, let's talk about some of the athletes and the results from the quarterfinals. It's all unofficial at the moment. There's got to be some video reviews and penalties applied to certain athletes before we get the accurate and final leaderboard. But currently, Mel O'Brien is sitting on top of the leaderboard for the ladies. No surprise there. And Justin Medeiros is sitting on top for the men. Now, fun fact on the ladies' side, Laura Horvath bet Mel O'Brien in 4 out of the 5 workouts. But Laura Horvath came 3rd overall. We've got Gabby McGowan in 2nd currently. So there are some people saying that, Laura bet her in 4 workouts. The CrossFit Games is going to be a lot tighter than people might think. I think most people are expecting Mel to win by a pretty, decent margin or pretty comfortably. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know what you think. I don't believe that the fact that Laura bet her in 4 out of the 5 workouts is an indicator of what's going to happen at the games. I think, I might be biased because obviously I've done some work with the HWPO crew. So, but my gut feeling is that that Mel is going to destroy Laura, even though she is an amazing athlete. I just feel like young Mel is a different beast, and I've had a little bit of an insight into what it looks like when she trains and that kind of savage switch that goes off when it's training time. She goes from a very sweet girl to an absolute predator. So. That's my thought, but I'd love to know what you think. Is it going to be a tight race? Does Laura have a chance of actually beating Mel? Let me know down in the comments. Then let's have a chat about some athletes who have either pulled out of the CrossFit Games season due to injury or are looking like they might be missing out based on their quarterfinal results. We'll start over in Europe with Mr. Willie Georges, very well-known French athlete. He is currently sitting in 70th place. That is 10 spots out of a qualifying spot for the for the semifinals in Europe. They're taking 60 athletes. He is currently sitting 70th. Now, there will be some athletes ahead of him that are going team that will be pulled from the list, and there might also be some penalties applied to certain people once the video review process has taken place. So fingers crossed that Willie makes it. I do believe that he deserves to be at the semifinals, at least, if not the CrossFit Games. And then, Khan Porter, my buddy Khan, unfortunately is out of the season. He's had to pull out due to a back injury, I believe. And it sucks because I know that he was just amped to compete as an individual this year after an amazing year on team with Annie and that crew. He was ready to show his stuff again as an individual, but that's gonna have to wait 1 more year. Khan is out. Let's talk about a female athlete who was one of the favorites to podium at the 2021 CrossFit Games, but then had to be pulled out due to COVID. She is from the North American West region, and she is Bethany Shadburn. She is currently sitting in 55th place, just snuck in that top 60. And I remember in 2021, there was a lot of hype around Bethany, and she really was one of the favorites to stand on top of the podium. I believe she might have actually won her semi-final that year. I might be wrong, but she's snuck in there, and we'll be seeing Bethany at the North American West semi-final. Okay, let's talk about some athletes who really impressed me throughout the quarterfinals. Starting on the ladies' side, in 6th place worldwide is Annika Greer, the Canadian youngster who last year missed out on semifinals due to an error when it came to submitting her video on time for the quarterfinals. And this year there were no mistakes, and she has proven herself. She's sitting in 6th place worldwide, which is amazing. She's a fellow LSKD athlete, so really impressed by Annika, and I'm excited to see what she does at her semi-final. Then bringing it home here to Australian soil, there is a man. He's got dreadlocks, he is a vegan, and he doesn't really do a whole lot of CrossFit anymore. I would honestly, out of all the CrossFit Games athletes, this is probably the guy that I'm the closest with, James Newbury, and I can hand on my heart say that James probably does 3 CrossFit sessions a week, and they are just classes. He goes to a local gym and does a class. He doesn't do any intentional he doesn't do any programming when it comes to his training. Honestly, James just jumps in and does whatever's going on. If someone's going for a run, then James will join and go for a run. If someone's playing some golf, he'll go and play some golf. If someone's doing some CrossFit, he'll do some CrossFit. There honestly has not been a whole lot of structure, I don't think, in his training, unless he's doing it, behind closed doors where no one can see. But James Newbury has finished up in 3rd place in our region, and I am so stoked. And I think what this is, it is evidence of how valuable years and years of accumulated training can be. When you're someone who's just put in the work year after year, you've never stopped, it just builds up, it just adds up to this mountain of work capacity that you just have. And he obviously still has it. So, for a triathlete, recreational CrossFitter to finish 3rd in the region is pretty exciting. And that makes things really, really interesting come semi-finals, because we've got Ricky Garrard, we've got Jay Crouch, we've got James Newbury. Who else we got there? We don't have Royce Boy this year. We don't have Khan. So there could be a scenario where James Newbury is fighting for a podium spot at Torian Pro, and he might be making his return without even planning it to the CrossFit Games. So that is my hope. That is what I'm cheering for. So if you're a James Newbury fan, hit me a comment down below. We can't talk about quarterfinals and not mention the newly introduced movements this year. First of all, we had the wall-facing handstand push-ups. Obviously, we saw those at the games last year to a slightly higher level. We had them on blocks, like a deficit wall-facing. So not brand new, but new to this stage of the competition. We also had the crisscross singles. Once again, we saw the crisscross double unders at the games. This is a slightly easier version, but still, a lot of people had trouble with this. In fact, I haven't actually tried it. I might grab a rope now and see if I can actually have it. Last year, after the games, RX SmartGear actually sent me all their ropes, including the beaded one, to try the crisscross double unders, and I never actually assembled the rope. I need to do it this week. So all I have here is my RX Evo Free. Let's see, I honestly have not done these since they've come out in the quarterfinals. I may have done some crisscross singles as a kid, but let's see if I can do it with just a normal speed rope. Mate, what are people complaining about? Those are easy. But in all seriousness, one of the things that I love about CrossFit is the fact that you can never master it. There's always a new skill to learn. There's always a new thing to pursue, a new thing to try and improve on. And so I see no problem with introducing new movements like these, like the V-up in competition. Sure, they might seem a bit gimmicky at the time, but like we established before, the main reason for the quarterfinals is to qualify or advance the top 30 or 60 people in each region. These are athletes. These people are athletes. You know, going to the quarterfinals, you know that you are one of two people. You are either someone who's trying to make it to the semifinal, or you're just someone having some fun, having a crack, and you know that you're not going to semis. If you know that you are going to semifinals or you're trying to get there, you are considered an athlete. And so in my mind, I'm like, you're an athlete. This is CrossFit. It's constantly varied. Just figure it out. Sure, maybe Adrian Bosman's going to get it wrong sometimes, but I would rather see the envelope being pushed and maybe a few movements slipping through that maybe aren't great tests, but we'll find out, and then we'll exclude them next time, or we'll improve on them. So, I mean, I don't know, was the V-up a good test or not? I haven't done the workouts, I'm not sure, but if the standard was confusing or the standard was hard to meet, maybe they learn from it this year and improve on it next year, or maybe they just decide we exclude that movement. But again, I'd rather see the envelope being pushed, and the athletes continue to be challenged rather than it becoming predictable and just the same movements over and over again year after year. So I've got no problem with a few funky movements being thrown in there, and I think the leaderboard speaks for itself. I don't think this year there were any major surprises of people missing out on qualifying for the semifinals due to one of these movements. Like I said, Willie George's was really the only major name that I could see that was sitting outside of the qualifying bubble. There was no other people that I thought like, oh, they should be, you know, in the qualifying spot. I think everyone that we expect to qualify has qualified. Again, I could be wrong, so just prove me wrong in the comments and let me know. But guys, that's really all I wanted to talk about when it comes to the quarterfinals. There's a fair bit there, so please get in the mix. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to kind of communicate with you down in the comments. I'm going to bring these about last week videos back. Every Monday we'll talk about last week's issues, or not issues, things that happen in our sport. Wow. It's fun. It's fun. You're fun. I'm fun. We're all fun. Okay. Stay sexy. Keep roaring love. See you soon. Mwah.